A boy heard a terrifying wolf's sound in the middle of the night, but when he turned on the light, he found nothing. Then his mother came into the room, and she also couldn't find anything. But before they knew it, they were in for a huge surprise. Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a little boy named Kontol. He was a very curious boy who loved asking questions. One evening, Kontol was playing with his toy cars in his room. Suddenly, he heard a strange sound. It sounded like the howl of a wolf. Kontol was very afraid and started crying. He immediately ran to his mother, who was sitting in the kitchen sipping her tea. "Mom, Mom, come quickly," he cried. "I just heard a terrible sound in my room, like the sound of a wolf." His mother put down her cup and said, "Don't be silly. There are no wolves in the village. You must have just imagined it." She gave him a kiss and told him to go back to his room. But Kontol still felt scared, so he called out to his mother again. "But Mom, I really heard a sound. Please don't leave me alone." Seeing that her son was really upset, the mother sighed and went back to his room with him. Together, they listened attentively. But all was quiet now. So his mom said, "See, there is nothing here. Now go to sleep and stop thinking about wolves." She tucked him in, but he was still too afraid to go to sleep. He looked at his mom and said, "Please stay with me for a bit, Mom." She agreed and sat down on a chair next to his bed. After a few minutes, he suddenly perked up and whispered, "Mom, do you hear that again? The wolf, the wolf." His mother was also surprised because now she could hear it too. It sounded like someone was howling like a wolf right outside their window. She got up and walked over to the window. It was big and wide, but the glass panes were tightly shut. The mother then walked over to the door and checked if it was locked. All was well. She went back to the bed and said to her son, "There is nothing to be afraid of. If it's just a wolf outside, then it can't get in. Don't worry, I'll protect you." But she was also very scared inside. She couldn't see anything outside, but she could hear the wolf scratching at the window and howling. And then something unbelievable happened. The wolf suddenly stopped, and after a few moments they heard footsteps outside. They were getting closer and closer. His mother told him to hide under the blanket while she peeked through the crack in the door to see what was going on. Soon, she would regret that decision. The footsteps stopped right outside their door. Then they heard a knock. Knock, knock. Kontol was shaking with fear. He had never been so scared in his whole life. His mother took a deep breath and said, "It's okay, Kontol, just stay quiet. Whatever it is, it will go away soon enough." She went over to the door and asked in a shaky voice, "Who is it?" A man's voice replied, "Hello, is anyone home?" Startled by the sound of a human voice, the mother immediately realized that it wasn't a wolf out there, but a person dressed up like one. Thinking quickly, she told him, "No, no one's home." She wanted to close the door, but the man outside stopped her. "Wait, I know you're in there. Open the door." The mother was shocked. How did he know they were in there? Before she could reply, he started banging on the door. Kontol was now crying loudly. His mother felt helpless. She didn't know what to do. Then an idea struck her. She scooped Kontol up in her arms and shouted, "Help! Someone please help us. A wild man is trying to break into our house." Her plan was to distract the man long enough for them to get to the window and escape. As the mother was carrying her son over to the window, the doorknob rattled. The man outside had managed to open the door, and he was now standing there, grinning. "You can't hide from me," he said, and lunged towards them. The mother screamed and threw her son back onto the bed. But before she knew it, the man had grabbed hold of her. "Gotcha," he said triumphantly. Then he turned to Kontol and asked, "And what about you, little boy? Do you want to come with us or should we leave you behind?" But before Kontol could answer, a voice rang out. "Leave him alone, you beast." Everyone turned around and saw a tall, strong man standing in the doorway. He looked like a real-life superhero. It was the mother's older brother, who was also Kontol's uncle. He had come to visit them for a few days and had heard their screams. He immediately understood what was happening and marched over to the intruder. "Get out of our house right now," he said angrily. The man didn't seem to want to leave. He stood up, straightened his clothes and said, Well, this is quite a family reunion. But unfortunately, we have to go now. It was nice seeing you again, sister." With that, he grabbed his bag and disappeared into the night. After he was gone, the mother rushed to her son and hugged him tightly. "Are you all right, sweetheart? Are you hurt anywhere?" she asked worriedly. Kontol shook his head and said, "I'm fine, Mom. Thank you for protecting me." Then he looked at his uncle and asked, "Uncle, what was that man wearing outside? Why was he making that wolf sound?" The uncle looked serious. "That man is a werewolf," he said. "Werewolves are evil creatures that only come out at night. They can change themselves into wolf form and back again. And I think this man was looking for you." Kontol was shocked. "Me? Why would a werewolf want to hurt me?" His uncle smiled and said, "Because he wanted to turn you into a werewolf too. That's why he made that wolf sound. He wanted to lure you outside so you would wander off and get lost. Then he could take you to his pack and you would become one of them." Kontol shuddered at the thought. He couldn't believe that such a horrible creature existed. His uncle put his arm around his shoulders and said, "Don't worry, boy. Now that you know what werewolves are, they can't get you. Werewolves can only turn humans into werewolves if they trick them. Once a human knows that there are werewolves in the world, he can never become one himself." Kontol nodded. He still felt a bit scared, but he was also very grateful to his uncle for saving him. The next morning, when the sun was shining brightly, the family gathered together for breakfast. Kontol told his parents and uncle everything that had happened the night before. At first, they didn't believe him, but then they saw the scratches on the door and the window. They had to admit that the werewolf had been real. From that day on, Kontol always kept his windows locked, especially at night. And whenever he heard a strange sound, he would call his mom or uncle right away. He never forgot the night he had almost become a werewolf. If you liked this story, make sure to check out more content. We've got lots of amazing stories that you'll love.